Sir, you're beeping. Remove everything. The elderly veteran explained his metal hip and prosthetic leg from war wounds. The agent mocked him. Sure, everyone's a war hero at the airport. Made him hop on one leg through the scanner. The pilot was watching from the gate. He grabbed the intercom. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a Medal of Honor recipient being disrespected. We're not leaving. Welcome to Silent Courage Stories, a place where sacrifice, honor, and the unshakable spirit of America's veterans are never forgotten. Before we share this powerful story of courage, justice, and respect, drop a comment below and tell us what city you're watching from, so our heroes know how far their legacy reaches. And if you believe that every veteran's story deserves to be heard, hit subscribe and stand with us in keeping their bravery alive for generations to come. Denver International Airport, Tuesday morning, 7 o'clock. Gate B-22 was crowded. United Airlines Flight 447, Denver to Washington, D.C. Colonel James Mitchell, 80 years old, struggled forward with his cane and walker. His left leg was prosthetic from the knee down. Right hip was metal. Vietnam, 1969. The Siege of Khe Sanh. Wounds received while saving 32 soldiers. He approached the TSA security checkpoint, removed his glasses, belt, watch, emptied his pockets. The Medal of Honor gleamed on his chest. The metal detector beeped. "Stop," said TSA Agent Kevin Brooks, 26 years old, large build, smirking. "You've got metal on you." "Son, I have a prosthetic leg and metal hip." "From Vietnam," James said gently. Kevin laughed. Sure. Everyone's a war hero at the airport. I have documentation. Remove everything. The prosthetic, too." "Here? In front of everyone? Rules are rules, or we go to private screening." James looked around. Hundreds of people. Some already had their phones out. "Son, I'll lose my balance. I could fall." "Not my problem. Remove the prosthetic." James looked for somewhere to sit. Kevin didn't allow it. "Standing. Make it quick." The old man pulled up his pant leg, started removing the prosthetic leg. His hands were shaking. Early-stage Parkinson's. The prosthetic came off. James tried to balance on one leg, nearly fell. "Now go through the detector." "How?" "I have one leg." Kevin shrugged. "Hop." Passengers watched in horror. Several tried to intervene. "This is disrespectful," said a middle-aged woman. "Ma'am, return to your line," Kevin said harshly. James tried to hop. 1 step, 2 steps, lost his balance, fell to the floor. The Medal of Honor flew from his neck, rolled on the ground. Kevin kicked it with his foot. Probably fake anyway. At that moment, Captain Michael Reynolds, waiting at Gate B-22, saw everything. 52 years old, former Air Force pilot, now with United Airlines. He'd been watching the security point from the cockpit. His blood boiled. He recognized James Mitchell. He recognized that Medal of Honor. He ran over, helped James up from the floor. "Colonel, are you okay?" James looked up. "Thank you, son." Michael picked up the Medal of Honor, carefully cleaned it, placed it back around James's neck, then turned to Kevin. "Your name?" "Kevin Brooks. And you?" "Captain Michael Reynolds, pilot of this flight. And do you know who this man is?" "No, and I don't care." "Colonel James Mitchell, Medal of Honor recipient, Vietnam, Khe Sanh, saved 32 American soldiers by himself." Kevin's smirk disappeared. Michael continued, his voice echoing through the security area. "This man saved my uncle, Lieutenant Paul Reynolds, carried him under fire after losing his leg." Passengers were recording with their phones. Michael pulled out his radio. "Control Tower, Captain Reynolds. Cancel departure for Flight 447. Captain, is there a problem?" "Yes, a Medal of Honor recipient has been insulted. No departure. The airport manager came running." "Captain Reynolds, what's happening?" Michael walked to Gate B-22, took the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is Captain Reynolds. I need to make an announcement. A security agent just publicly humiliated an 80-year-old Medal of Honor recipient, made him remove his prosthetic leg in front of everyone, demanded he hop on one leg, the crowd murmured angrily. This man, Colonel James Mitchell, saved 32 lives in Vietnam, including my uncle. The Medal of Honor is America's highest military honor, and a security agent kicked it with his foot. Passengers began shouting in anger. This plane, Michael's voice was firm and clear, will not depart until Colonel Mitchell receives a formal apology. The airport manager was panicking. Captain, there are hundreds of passengers. I don't care. That man gave his leg for this country. He deserves at least an apology. TSA Supervisor Janet Miller arrived. How dare you? Michael turned to her. Dare? The dare is humiliating an 80-year-old Medal of Honor recipient. Did you see what your employee did? Kevin followed protocol. Protocol? Michael pulled out his phone, showed videos. Is this protocol? Leaving an elderly man crawling on the floor. The videos were already going viral. Respect our heroes. Well, it's a shame. Colonel Mitchell James had been seated in a chair. Michael stood beside him. Colonel, you don't need to do this. Yes, I do, Colonel. For my uncle and for all veterans. Half an hour passed, the plane still at the gate. Passengers were impatient, but no one was angry at Michael. They were all looking at Kevin. Finally, the airport general manager arrived, David Thompson, 55 years old, himself former Air Force. Colonel Mitchell? James looked up. Sir, I apologize, deeply apologize. This is unacceptable. He turned to Kevin. Apologize now. Kevin resisted. I was just doing my job. Apologize! Kevin approached James. I'm sorry. Not enough, said Michael. Proper apology. Kevin knelt down in front of everyone. Colonel Mitchell, I'm sorry. I was disrespectful. I humiliated heroes like you. I ask for your forgiveness. James looked at him. Tired old eyes. Get up, son. I forgive you, but I hope you've learned. Kevin was crying. I have, sir. David Thompson took the microphone. May I have your attention? We're opening a special security line for Colonel Mitchell and all our veterans. No veteran will be humiliated again. Passengers applauded. Michael made an announcement. Passengers, we're ready for departure. But first, I want to honor Colonel Mitchell. All passengers stood, applauded, some saluted. James was crying. This is too much. No, Colonel. This is the minimum of what we owe you. Boarding the plane, Michael took James to first class. Captain, my ticket is economy. Not anymore. From now on, every flight you take is first class. United Airlines policy. Just approved. During the flight, Michael announced, Passengers, we have a true American hero among us. Colonel James Mitchell. In Vietnam, during the siege of Khe Sanh, he single-handedly saved 32 soldiers, lost his leg but didn't stop. Medal of Honor recipient. If you see him, thank him. Throughout the flight, passengers visited James, thanked him, took photos. A young woman came crying. My grandfather died in Vietnam. Because of people like you, some came home. Thank you. When they arrived in Washington, reporters were waiting. The story had become national news. Kevin Brooks? He was fired, but James wrote a reference for him. He made a mistake. He paid for it. He deserves a second chance. Kevin now works at veteran hospitals as a volunteer. Every day, he says, I remember Colonel Mitchell's face. On the ground, because of me, I'll never forget. Michael Reynolds, United Airlines awarded him Pilot of the Year. In his award speech, he said, As a pilot, my duty is to transport passengers safely. But as a human being, my duty is to defend heroes. Colonel Mitchell taught me that. TSA? Policy change, special procedure for all veterans, special respectful treatment. James Mitchell still flies, first class every time, standing ovation every time. Asked in an interview, are you angry? No, he said. I'm sad. That young man, Kevin, Didn't know what empathy was. Now he does. That's a win. The Medal of Honor? Always around his neck, shining, symbol of 32 lives. And at Denver Airport security checkpoint, a new sign. Heroes come at every age. Show respect. The story continued to ripple outward. 3 months later, Kevin Brooks reached out to James with a letter. Colonel Mitchell, I wake up every night seeing your face, not angry, just disappointed, like I'd failed a test I didn't know I was taking. I'm studying now, military history, veteran affairs. I want to understand what you sacrificed, what I disrespected. Would you consider meeting for coffee? I want to learn. Respectfully, Kevin Brooks. James met him. They talked for 3 hours. Kevin learned about Khe Sanh, about the siege, about the 32 men James saved. How? Kevin asked. How did you keep going after losing your leg? You don't think about it, James said. You see someone who needs help. You help. The leg was already gone, but those men weren't. Kevin now speaks at TSA training sessions. He shows the video of himself, the humiliation, the mockery. This is me at my worst, he tells new agents. Learn from my mistake. Every person through that scanner has a story. Some stories are written in scars, prosthetics, metal joints. Respect the story even if you can't read it. Captain Michael Reynolds flew his last flight before retirement with James Mitchell as his guest of honor. The entire crew was veterans. The passenger list, Gold Star families heading to Arlington Cemetery. Before landing, Michael announced, 30 years ago, I learned my uncle died in Vietnam. I thought he died alone, afraid. 20 years later, I learned Colonel Mitchell held him, talked to him, made sure he wasn't alone. Today, Colonel Mitchell flies with us not as a passenger, but as family. The landing was perfect. As they deplaned, every pilot from every gate came out. They formed 2 lines. James Mitchell walked through, or rather, was wheeled through. His health was declining. Each pilot saluted. At the end of the line stood General Patricia Hayes, Air Force Chief of Staff. Colonel Mitchell, she said, on behalf of all who fly and all who've flown, thank you. She pinned a new medal on his chest, the Air Force Distinguished Service Medal. But I was Army, James said, confused. Today you're everything, she replied. Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines. You're what we all aspire to be. The video of that moment, hundreds of pilots saluting one old man in a wheelchair, went beyond viral. It became iconic. Schools showed it. Military academies studied it. TSA used it in every training session. A year later, James Mitchell passed away. His funeral filled Arlington National Cemetery. Kevin Brooks was there in a TSA uniform with a black armband. Why are you here? A reporter asked. Because, Kevin said, Colonel Mitchell taught me the most important lesson of my life. Respect isn't about rules or protocols. It's about seeing the human being. He saw me at my worst and still forgave me. That's heroism, too. Captain Michael Reynolds delivered the eulogy. James Mitchell hopped through a metal detector on one leg because we asked him to. But 50 years ago, he ran through fire on one leg because others needed him to. The difference between humiliation and heroism is how we treat our heroes. Today, we get it right. The Medal of Honor was buried with James, but replicas were made. One hangs at Denver International Airport at the exact security checkpoint where he was humiliated. Below it, a plaque. Colonel James Mitchell stood here, fell here, rose here, and taught us all what standing really means. Kevin Brooks is now head of Veteran Affairs for TSA. His office has one photo, him kneeling before James Mitchell, apologizing. My daily reminder, he tells visitors, of who I was, who I am, who I'm trying to be. Every year, on the anniversary, Flight 447 from Denver to Washington observes a moment of silence at 7:23 a.m., the exact time Captain Reynolds stopped the plane. The announcement always ends the same way. Ladies and gentlemen, we pause to remember that heroes don't always wear capes. Sometimes they wear prosthetics. Sometimes they need help standing, but they should never, ever have to hop to prove their worth. The Denver airport security line where it happened is now called Mitchell Gate, the fastest, most respectful security checkpoint in America. And Kevin Brooks? He's there every morning, watching, making sure no veteran ever faces what Colonel Mitchell faced. My penance, he says, my privilege. If this story moved you, share it, because our heroes deserve to be remembered. Subscribe to Silent Courage Stories and stand with us as we honor the courage, sacrifice, and legacy of those who served.